Great show. We have the Mayor Williams and we have the new chief, Bobby Cummins. But before we go to them, I just like to say a few things. Tonight, this show is going to be dedicated to Mr. Thornton, who was my boxing coach, and Billy Gibson, who was my first boxing coach. And I want to dedicate it to you have a lot of coaches out there who volunteer for football, basketball, and some of these guys who volunteer, a lot of these kids, this is the only father that they know. And again, I was a product of Brown Boys Club with good men getting involved. So a lot of these guys at the football league, different leagues, don't get honored. And I would like to see one day to get some money and honor these guys at the Chase Center. But again, I'd like to say the show's going to be dedicated to them and Mr. Thornton and Billy Gibson, who was my first boxing coach. But I'd like to introduce you to Mayor Williams and again, Chief Bobby Cummins.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Okay. And matter of fact, Mayor, will you introduce the new chief to everybody?
Well, this is Chief Bobby Cummings, a man who's not new to anyone. He's been around for quite a while. He's got a great record, great resume. I'll let him talk about himself, but he was my choice. He's committed. The community loves him, and he has a great tie-in with the community, and that's very important to build relationships between the police and the community. Bobby came down to the wire with another gentleman, but Bobby eked him out because of his community ties and his educational ability. I mean, we had some great candidates, but like I said again, Bobby was the one who the community supported 150%. I looked at Bobby making tough decisions when he was the interim chief. I didn't have to call him. He made decisions, and we talked every now and then. And he ran the police department. That's what I want. I don't want to be running the police department. I want a chief that's going to run the police department, that's going to make tough decisions, and then we can discuss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Bobby Cummins. Come on in your way.
Thank you for having me. I don't know if you're going to leave me, you just want me to go.
I want you to tell a little bit about your background,
Okay.
Where you grew up. Just give us a little bit back to your background.
All right. My background, again, I was in the city since I was 3 years old when my grandmother moved us up from Georgia. During that time period, we lived in the 1800 block of West 3rd Street growing up. My mother moved us over to Riverside in the 1300 block of East 24th Street. We went over to 2400 block of Jessup Street. I went to a number of schools in the city. In kindergarten years, I went to Mary C.I. Williams. I went to Lower School, which was an elementary school at the time. I went to Northeast School in Riverside, George Gray, Warner Elementary School. I went to PS for 1 year for my freshman year before they did DSEG. And when DSEG took place, I ended up at Claymont High School where I graduated from. Month after graduating from Claymont High School, I ended up at Acme Supermarket at 14th and DuPont, where I spent about 4 years over there honing skills in reference to customer service. And after I left there, I joined the police department, and I've been here now for 29 years. I'll have 30 completed come January.
Okay, well, excuse me. One thing that I was very impressed, and I read your resume, and this young man came through the ranks. When I mean, this resume is off the chart. I'm just impressed. I mean, but the good thing is that when he came up as a patrolman, just talk about, again, 29 years, but you came through the ranks. You almost had every job there was. And again, later on, I'm going to let you know some of his awards and some of the things, but just talk about the way you came through the ranks.
Well, I mean, I've been to a number of divisions in the police department. I've been to every one except for the Office of Professional Standards, but I consider myself having been in that division because I served on a number of trial boards. But let me start out, as I came on in 1985, I worked the streets as a patrol officer, and I stayed in patrol for about 3 years. And I met some magnificent police officers who actually guided me through my career. I had a lot of assistance. I met the mayor there coming on in 1985. And again, I had a number of role models. So I spent 3 years in patrol, and then I went to Vice Squad. I spent 3 years at Vice Squad. I was an undercover officer buying drugs throughout the city and in different cities throughout the state. I then went to our criminal investigations division as a homicide investigator. Well, I investigated homicides and a number of other crimes that come along with being an investigator and detectives. During that time period, I became a polygraph examiner, so I was administering polygraph tests.
Let me ask the question.
Yes.
Then you can continue. Could you sit and tell if somebody's lying, or you have to strap them up?
Well, I've been doing it for a number of years. I can generally tell when somebody's lying by body mechanics. There are little quirks that they have that they're not paying attention to. But once I hook you up, that's the lock solid.
If my eye's winking now, what does that mean?
Well, just by your winking, it's really not going to tell me anything. We need to have a little bit more extensive conversation so I can.
Okay, but go ahead, finish telling us about your career.
All right.
Okay.
So again, I went to our Human Resources Division where I started training the police academy, and the officers, we transitioned from one weapon to another. I was one of the officers who was responsible for transitioning the department into what was called weaponless defense, pressure point control tactics. So I was one of the main instructors for that. Then I trained in a lot of police academies. I had about 5 police academies, 3 of them where I was a day-to-day sergeant, and then 1 where I was the lieutenant commander of the academy. After that time in Human Resources Division, I went back to patrol as a sergeant for a little time period where I became the day-to-day sergeant for the pilot program, which is now known as Safe Streets. So I got to be the lead on the governor's task force during that time period. Shortly after that, I went back to another academy. Then I got promoted to captain shortly after that. I was not transferred, but I was put in charge of the Special Operations Division, where we had a number of divisions and assignments and units that really didn't fall in any particular place. So I had the traffic division, the K-9 officers. I had, at that time, it was crime prevention, the PAL officer. I had the honor guard, which is a non-dedicated unit, the SWAT team.
16 years.
I was a member of the SWAT team for 16 years.
Now,
yes.
Is it like the one I used to watch on TV with the big van y'all come out? Is it like that?
Well, during the time period I came up, we didn't have all that equipment, but we've now transitioned to having those vehicles and those updated weapons.
Okay.
So I've seen that unit grow throughout my years. So I, again, supervised a lot of those units, and then as captain, in 2005, I became in charge of our Communications 911 Center and our Support Services Division. And just last year, I was then promoted to inspector, where I spent a year under then Chief Dunning, and then just this year, January, I was named the interim chief to move in a different direction where we were doing a new deployment plan, which would bring about more accountability and consistency. And that's, in a nutshell, part of my career, but again, there's a whole host of other things that go along with that.
That's like I said again, and he's being modest. This resume is off the chart, and as far as I'm concerned, if anybody's resume is better than his, they got to be working for Barack Obama, because I cannot believe some of the things that are on his resume. And later on we'll get to some of his awards. I think he was Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
You were Police Officer of the Year, 1990.
Yes.
You also won an award for saving a life.
Yes.
I mean, it's on and on. But okay, I want to, this is for both of y'all. What has changed since you first came on as an officer, and Mayor, you too, because you was a police officer? What's different today? Like, you got different generations. I know the equipment as far as the technology. What's different? And this is for both of y'all.
I'm pretty much going to yield to the chief on that question. I don't police anymore. I'm the mayor, so I'm going to yield to him on that, because I think he should be the one answering those questions on that situation.
Okay. Okay, Mayor. Good answer. Good answer. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, so in terms of some things that have changed over the years since I've come on, obviously there's been different laws that we operate under have changed. When police officers came on in '85 and prior, a lot of people were coming here for a career. You had a different mindset. There were officers who, or individuals who came to be an officer because they were dedicated, they wanted to serve individuals throughout the city, and it was something that they loved. Officers coming on today, their mindset is just a little bit different. It's a global thing. A lot of people don't stay on jobs for long. They're a little bit more transient, even in the work environment. So the dedication that you saw when I first came on is not as strong as it is today. I mean, but there are still individuals who come in who have that commitment, and those are the individuals that we look to provide succession training for, and to make sure that they're committed and to what they said they came here for, and that is to serve the city. A lot of people say, you know, our job is to protect and serve, but the way I look at it is we serve, then protect. And it's about building relationships, it's about knowing the community, it's about humanizing the police department. So some of those things I think have changed from the time I came on to where we are now, but we're looking to go back to that mode and making sure that officers understand the reason why they came and hold them to that.
Okay. Now, the city has had little problems, and again, a lot of it's not the police department's fault, because again, you have the economy, you have not a jobs are not out there, you have GM and Chrysler, you just have a lot of education level dropout. Okay, with the shooting rate the way it is stuff, what do you plan to do as a new chief to try to curb some of this violence?
Well, we have a deployment plan, again, that calls for accountability. We have a lot more outreach that we're looking to do in the community and building those relationships. We know that as a police department, no agency can do this by themselves. There's no way that we're going to go out here and solve all these crimes without input from the community. And by building those relationships, building that trust level back, I think that's one of the major ways that we're going to impact the crime that's happening in our city.
Okay, now again, what do you think about community policing? Because you seem to have a great relationship with everybody. And so what do you think about community policing?
Again, that's the key. I mean, community policing is what's going to get you the information, the relationships and trust factors that you build with individuals. That's how you get information. I mean, we can be a police department and go out here and just say we're going to follow police procedures, police policy, and you'll never get anything solved. You got to have the help from other organizations. You got to have the help of the community. Policing by itself is not going to get this done. So the philosophy of community policing, that's what I'm all about. Treating people fairly, with respect, and treat people the way I want to be treated. And that's all I've ever done. And community policing is a philosophy that's across the entire police department that has to be fostered. Because if you think of community policing as a unit by itself, that's not going to get it done. So no matter what division our officers are assigned to, we're asking them to realize that you have to connect with the community, you have to be engaged, and you have to be open for dialogue and conversation, and understand that everybody comes from a different background, everybody comes from a different point of view, and the police point of view is not always the right point of view. So you have to be open for dialogue and engage the conversations.
Okay. The average...
I just want to jump in and say one thing. This morning, I go out and ride around the city. I go all over the city quite a bit. But this morning I was coming down Claymont Street. I hit the 2700 block, and I was so impressed when I saw a police car with about 10 young children standing out, and it was Officer Tabor handing out books. And I was just so impressed with that. And the little kids were calling him Officer Gary. And I mean, they were in line being very patient for their books, and I thought that was really cool. Now, you talking about a Kodak moment. That really was, and I was really impressed with that.
Okay. The average shooting suspect is 23. The average victim is 27. The percentage of arrests is 21%. And what's your take on that? I mean, you kind of already answered it, but, with the community policing.
It's about making those contacts in the community. People have to trust you in order for them to give you information. We're not trying to put anybody at peril, but people need to step up and get involved in their community. Right. They have to be involved. Are there scary situations out here where people believe that things are going to happen to them? Absolutely. I mean, everyone should be scared, because that's what keeps you on your P's and Q's and understand what's going on. But again, in building those relationships, people will call you on the sly. They will talk to you if you have that connection with them. But if you don't make that connection, you're not going to get anything.
Okay. Now, I've been paying attention and watching the news and just paying attention. One of the things that we've been talking about lately is mental illness. And for the police department, I know it's even scarier because they got split seconds to make certain decisions. Like, I give you a couple good examples. When the last few shootings where the parents, the college kids, the parents called the police officers out there. They came out there. The kids was very educated. They knew what the right thing to say. But is there any type of training so y'all can deal with mental illness? And the second part of this question is this. When police officers normally take on, not police officers, people normally take on more responsibility, there's normally a cost factor because they got so much on their plate, and additional training might be a budgetary factor. Can you talk about anything that you're going to do as far as to train officers to help deal with mental illness? Because it's more and more, you start to see more mental ill people do things, and the police officers might not know that they're mentally ill.
Well,
Yes.
one thing I would say, Chief, there is mandatory training, and I think it's a 40-hour block that came from the General Assembly years ago. I put that legislation in after Hurricane Katrina. It showed that police officers couldn't deal with people who were mentally ill, and they needed more training. And you're right, police officers do have split seconds to make decisions. And sometimes those decisions can go the wrong way, where the public may think the police officer overreacted or did something bad, but when that police officer was in that situation, they saw one thing and one thing only. And at the time, you have seconds to make decisions. You either make the decision or you don't know what's going to come out of it. And Chief, you can follow
Yes,
up.
and we have begun to send our officers to training in reference to individuals who are mentally ill. So it's about awareness and seeing signs. That's not to say that you're going to recognize every individual,
Right.
but we are attending training that's bringing us aware of those issues. And then we've always also sent individuals to become trainers that will bring that back to our department so that all officers are aware of the issues that are going on.
Okay. And Mayor, this is kind of, I guess you can decide, what are you doing for your police department to be up to the 21st century? Like, what type of technology are you making sure that they get all the equipment and everything they need now? Because a lot of things are done through the computer. Things are done differently. The crimes are done differently than yesterday.
Well, we're making sure they get the funding, but the chief can answer that with the technology and stuff that he's looking at using. I'm not going down to the department and telling what technology they should purchase. That's the chief's job, and the chief will be the one looking at the 21st century equipment. I'm to guide him and make sure he gets the funding he needs to run the police department and keep the police department into the future.
We do have some technology that that brings us into the 21st century and beyond. And real quick, without going into total detail, we have a computer-aided dispatch system that's going to bring us a lot more information, where we're going to be doing intelligence-led policing. So we're doing data-driven information. We're holding meetings on Wednesdays to talk about that data, and we then deploy our resources to the areas that have been identified to best service the city. So we are moving ahead in technology.
Okay. Again, I know you just got there, and I know I'm quite sure we're gonna get some callers. What do you think about homicide unit? What's your views on a homicide unit?
Well, from my limited knowledge of homicide units, basically a homicide unit would be dedicated to investigating homicides. That unit would spend its resources to do nothing but develop information to go out in reference to solving those homicides. For us to have one in the Wilmington Police Department, it would require that our authorized strength be increased. I would say to have one today, we do not have the resources to sustain one, but currently all of our individuals who are assigned to our detective divisions, they are across the board and investigating whatever crime comes across their desk. But a homicide unit would give you more accountability. It would give you a narrower guide to those individuals and investigating nothing but those particular crimes. But just right now, we don't have the resources to sustain that kind of unit.
Now, are y'all under? I'm not gonna say understaffed. That's the wrong word. Are y'all where y'all need to be as far as numbers?
We're a little below our authorized strength at this point. Is why we're looking to start an academy. And if you know any interested candidates, if you want to direct them our way, that would be great.
Again, anytime you want to come back or let us know, I'm quite sure Lapa, who I think is doing a wonderful job, any of them, so many different shows, they would love to let people know that they have a chance to get a job.
Yeah.
So we're going to recruit like we never recruited
Yes.
before. We're going to have commercials. We're going to go onto the radio stations. We're going to go to the military bases, college campuses. We're going to do some things that we never did before.
Yes.
That's okay. Now, as far as, again, what happens here if, I'm trying to think of something where I'm just trying to find a way to word this. Have you been? What type of press you been getting as far as the chief for you being the chief? Because again, your resume, you even been an officer in the union.
Yes.
I mean, you haven't. It's nothing that you haven't done, and that's what's impressive. So, what type, from the feedback from our community, what type of feedback you been getting from our community?
I've been overwhelmed and inundated with congratulations from individuals in the community, other individuals from law enforcement agencies, from the federal agencies, just willing to assist and help our city move forward. And the level of respect that I've gained through those networking ventures, everybody's just looking for us to do well. I can't say enough about that.
Okay. Now, one of the questions is about the buyback guns, and and let me just say this: I believe it was with good intentions.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong; it was with good intentions. But I went to some of the sites. Some of these guns was 1900. They was taped up. People from Maryland, Jersey. These guns were so old they was falling apart, and I think for me personally, I think it could have been better served if maybe prevention. But what's your take on it? But the intention was good. But
yes.
What I witnessed, everybody from out of state, but what's your feel on?
Well, for a gun buyback, it can be a little bit costly, but any weapon that you can take off the street that is an actual operable weapon that has the ability to fire projectile from it, and we're able to get that off the street, I count that as a plus.
Hey, I can't say nothing. We're gonna take some phone calls in a minute, but can we go to a commercial break? Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, very good point. Okay, we're back. We're gonna take phone calls in a minute. Ask a couple more questions, and we're gonna start taking phone calls. The number is 661-4468. 661-4468. Also, Chief.
Yes.
What type of organizations would you work with? I know to help you. I know again. I know y'all working with I think Cure Violence with Sean Allen. I think the Peacekeepers, and I remember coming up that the Muslims helped clean up Concord Avenue. I mean, so what type of organizations would you work with to try to help them?
Well, as you just stated, we're working with a lot of the formal organizations that are out there, and we're looking to partner with anyone who is interested in improving the city as far as reducing crime, just want to see the city better. There are individuals out there who are maybe not in some formal group, but they just want to share their ideals about how things can be done and to bring a different light or perspective on something. Again, I'm open to listening. I'm open to hearing the different perspectives on what's happening. So again, we're just willing to work with anyone who wants to partner with the city to improve and reduce the crime in the city.
Okay. Now, I know there are thousands of civic associations. I know it's going to be hard for you to make the circuit, but maybe what would you think about a town hall meeting whenever you're scheduled? Because again, about a town hall meeting so people can come and talk to you, or y'all can have a designated area?
We already do that. We have cluster meetings and we have town hall meetings probably every quarter.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take a phone call. Hello, you on the air?
Good evening to everyone. My name is Jerome. I'd like to ask anyone that could answer this question. Are you absolutely sure about the police department? Is someone in the police department not doing the right thing from being out and about, hearing things? The kids are saying someone in the police department is selling the guns to them on the street. So I know in every state there's a bad police officer somewhere. So I think if you could get involved with or find out something about who is doing this, so somebody is doing something in the police department that is wrong. So you want to read and see people. You want the people to to be involved with the police department, but somebody in the police department is doing something wrong, and someone needs to find this out.
Okay.
Now, this comes from higher up people that are in certain positions who are saying someone in the police department is selling the kids the guns.
Okay.
I know you don't want to believe that, but in every state, there's a bad police officer.
Okay, let him answer the question. Okay, I appreciate your question. Let him answer the question. Thank you.
What I would say to that is, if there's information out there about any of our officers who are involved in wrongdoings, if someone has the information and want to come forward, we will certainly investigate it, and we will handle those situations in the most professional manner.
And let me say this, there were bad police officers before, and you know what? Once we got the information and we started catching on to things that we knew that wasn't right, things that didn't feel right, things that didn't look right, those police officers were investigated and arrested. Yes. I had a case myself when I was on it where I arrested a police officer for wrongdoing. And believe me, we do clean our own house.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, you're on the air.
Yes, hello, how are you?
All right.
Okay, I have a question for Dennis Williams and the chief. What's his chief's new name? What's his name? I don't have his name. I want to make sure I get that right.
Chief Bobby Cummins.
Oh, Chief Bobby Cummins. Okay, I have a question for the mayor and especially for Chief Bobby Cummins. First of all, Mr. Cummins, I'd like to congratulate you on your new position.
Thank you.
As Chief of Police in Wilmington.
Thank you.
And I heard all the credentials that you have generated, and you're going to be really, it sounds like you're going to be an asset to the Wilmington community. But I have a question, and it's always been on my mind when police are policing the community. And my question is that I've always felt that a policeman's most prized weapon is psychology. Whether the police academy is doing a lot of this, where they're offering courses where potential policemen are getting courses in human psychology and behavior, because policing the community is a very, 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 very serious thing in human psychology. So I thought about things like, and I know you're doing some of this, like the police today have to make decision-making skills. And if you know anything about psychology, human psychology, police have to make decision-making skills sometimes on the spot. They do it. Are they able to do it? Conflict resolution, spontaneous conflict resolutions as they approach the problem. More town meetings with the police hierarchy and the mayor. And many people see, as you know, the police as, and it's serious, as extreme enforcers, which should not be the case, because I think Chief Cummings said that police are here to serve and protect, and a lot of times I think our police are extensive enforcers, where it rings out a negative tone to our community, and I think that they use the word terminators, police terminators.
Okay, I appreciate your question. Let them answer the question.
Then.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, he rambled on. I don't. What is his question?
Like I said, during our training process, we do teach officers conflict resolution, decision making. They don't have any formal classes unless they've gone to college themselves on psychology, but we do teach them how they should talk to people. Now, how people carry it out when they get out there is another matter, and then we're in a situation, or we're in a position where we will deal with those individuals who do not treat people professional and or with respect.
All right. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello, my name is Lynette Williams, and I was just calling because I know y'all was saying something about y'all didn't have a homicide unit, but don't y'all have a homicide unit unsolved cold case?
Okay, let them answer the question. Thank you, Lynette.
We do have 2 retirees who are investigating cold cases, yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, you're on the air.
How's it going, Chief? Hey, just wanted to congratulate you on your position, and good luck to you. Had a question. I'm looking into getting into law enforcement. I've applied a couple places, but I keep running into the problem of
me taking the right steps that I need to take, but family members of mine or friends of mine may have been in trouble with the law and things of that sort. And I feel like that's kind of holding me back from becoming a police officer or getting into law enforcement. Do you have any advice for people that are in the same position?
We're currently accepting applications, and we do extensive background checks into individuals that are applying. You are certainly welcome to come down to the police department and do a ride along and speak with some of our officers who can talk you through some of the things that you may be going through.
All right, go ahead. You on the air?
Hi, good evening, Julius. Good evening, Mayor, and congratulations, Chief Cummings. This is Pastor D.
Thank you, Pastor.
Just a couple of questions, Mayor. I was wondering if you, at any time in the future, anticipate or see the need for, and I kind of think I know the answer, but I was interested in your idea about, remember the public safety director position, the civilian kind of position in public safety that worked in concert. I think it was Mobley might have been the last one, but do you envision some version of that type of role in the future, Mayor? And also, Chief Cummings, the gun extraction from the street process. I know that we have in the past, yourself, myself, and others have been very successful with getting guns off the street. Do you see the manner in which we conducted those operations increasing in any way?
Okay.
And I'll hang up and listen. Mayor, I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I respect your decision-making process. I always have from the time of a kid. So good luck, and I'll listen for the answers.
All right, thank you, Pastor D.
Thank you. Well, the public safety director, no, I think that's just too much more bureaucracy. I think the chief should be running the police department, and the fire chief should run the fire department. I don't think we need a middleman to tell them what to do. I think they get their directives from me, the mayor. I don't think they need to be going through 2 or 3 people. I put 2 competent men in position, Chief Cummings and Chief Good. They're going to run their departments, and when they need me, they'll call on me.
Okay. Hello, you on the air?
Yes, this is Patricia Matthews. I'm calling. Yes, this is Patricia Matthews. I was wondering when they were going to start the community court, and I have other questions too. I became a victim of domestic violence in 2013, and it was really terrible by how the courts treated you as a victim. And I was wondering if there was going to be more rehabilitation for the abusers, and are there going to be more detox centers for the alcoholics and the?
Okay, let them answer your question. I think we got the gist of what you're saying. Thank you for calling.
Well, the community court's going to be at Reverend Weeks' location. It's something that we worked on. We just haven't got all the funding for it yet. We're still waiting for the state to do their part, and we don't control the detoxification centers. That's state. I think there's a bill coming out in the legislature to expand that and for detoxification programs. All we do is utilize what the state has.
Okay, you on the air?
Good show, Julius. I just had a question for Mayor Williams. I just wanted to know if he had put forth any legislation to help get the guns off the street, or as a mayor, if he can put in ordinances to do that as well. Do you think that would help?
Yes, ma'am, but the city of Wilmington can't regulate gun laws due to the fact that the General Assembly only gave us home rule to do certain things. As a member of the legislature, I put numerous gun bills in. You can go on the state website and look at my legislation from 1995 all the way to 2012, and you can see how I battled the NRA and put numerous pieces of legislation in for gun control and for folks to be severely punished who carry firearms illegally.
Okay. Also, if you still want to call, the number again is 661-4468. 661-4468. And Chief Cummings, again, I mean, I know everybody likes you. I mean, you're a good man. How would you handle the diversity on the police department?
In terms of what?
in terms of, I'm normally not politically
Well,
correct,
let me
but
say
I will-
this. Every officer on the department is treated fairly. Every officer, I look to give them opportunity to advance throughout this department. We provide succession training for anyone who is interested in moving their career forward. Obviously, you know that there's only certain positions on the police department that are numbers. Like you only have one chief spot. Only one person can occupy it at one time, and there's a number of other promotable positions. For individuals to excel in that area, they volunteer to take tests and move on in those areas. Okay. So again, for people who are interested, we're always willing to do succession training to give them the knowledge that they need to move forward, because policing is not, within the department, policing is not a secret. Everyone should know how to move forward.
Okay. Hello, you on the air?
Yes, I'm calling for Mr. Dennis Williams. He said that when he came into office, he was going to stop all this crime and stuff. And I mean, I know he only can do so much. But I ride through Wilmington sometimes. People, they pull up side of you with the dark shade car windows and things, and you don't know who they are.
You got, hold up, is that two people talking? Wait a minute. I'm hearing two different people talking. Let them answer the question. Okay. Go ahead. I mean, you got two people coming in, so it's like two numbers same time. I don't understand. Go ahead.
Well, you know, Julius, we have gotten a handle on things going on. You know, people fall in line and they start reading the One Horse Town newspaper, the News Journal. You can't believe what a lot of reporters write. Reporters write a lot of negative things to sell stories. This was years and years and years of battling crime. Yes, I did come in and say we're going to start handling things right away. Did we go out and arrest people? We took numerous guns off the street. We took numerous bad guys off the street, but the cycle kept going. We kept battling. The shootings are down. Our homicides are up, but we have taken a lot of bad guys off the street. The Part 1 crimes are down. People feel safe. I've walked in certain communities where people have told me it's a major change in the city. But you know what? Overnight, we're not going to do it, but guess what we're going to do? We're going to put the Cure Violence team out there. We changed our patrol plans. We got a new chief. We're going to attack this problem. We're not going to play with it. We're going to respect people. We're going to treat people fairly. But people who want to be gangsters, we're going to deal with those folks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. You on the air?
Yes, good evening. I just wanted to say to the mayor, I think you're doing a great job, Dennis. And I want to say to Officer Cummings, I know you know the story because I've been in meetings where we have all heard what the problems are and the solutions that were offered. So I am very happy that the mayor chose you to be the chief of police in the city, because I think you can really do the job.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask, when the bills come out for these detox and rehab centers, can we count on the city, all of you, city council, everybody supported those bills unanimously. Can we count on you to get people down to the legislative hall and make sure that these bills get passed, because it's going to affect everyone in a very positive way. It's going to be cost effective, it's going to be humane and moral, and it's the right thing to do. So I just want to ask if we can count on all of you to be with us when that bill comes up in the Senate. And thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
We absolutely will be there, because this would have a major impact on city residents and people who have substance abuse that our departments have to deal with. We can get people into rehabs and get them corrected and back on the right track. This will reduce the prison population. Also, our expenses going up with public safety. It's a win-win for everybody.
Also, let me just say, if anybody's calling with a block number, you will not, and I repeat, you will not get through. You on the air?
Yes, I just was calling earlier for Mr. Mayor Dennis Williams. He's doing a good job, but you ride along on 26 and 27 on Market Street. You can't come through there. People that come upside of you with them dark tinted windows and things. The only people should have them type of windows is police officer. I mean, something need to be done about it, because it's ridiculous. When anytime you ride along, people pulling upside of you, and they can see you, but you can't see them. I think it's sad, and I think really people really need to put their damn foot down and start doing something about it. Get these people that got these dark tinted windows, get them through motor vehicle, and they take the dark tinted windows glass off of their cars and things because they have no reason to have them.
Okay, let him answer the question. Thank you for calling.
I can answer that, Bobby, whether you want it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some individuals who do get restrictions reference to from their doctor that allows them to have tinted windows. There are also laws that impact that when they go to the motor vehicle lanes to get their cars re-registered. And then when officers stop individuals on the street and find that they're in violation, they do give them tickets and they're mandated to take those off. So we do deal with those situations.
Okay. Also, I want to say something. If anybody read the newspaper yesterday, do not park your car in front of a fire hydrant. Did y'all see that picture? They bust both windows and put the hose through the window. The guy was parked in front of the fire hydrant, and they bust both windows and stuck the hose through there. So not only he had to wait for hours, but I'm quite sure he didn't need a shampoo job because he had all the water he needed. So
Well, let me clarify that. It was a fire and the building was engulfed and they
Yes.
couldn't get the hose through.
Right.
People know they shouldn't park on fire hydrants. The building was on fire. It was going to another structure where it was occupied by people. The fire department had no choice but to go through the motor vehicle and get the hose through so they can put the fire out.
like I said, hey, I agree, but to see that picture.
Well, they knew better.
Yeah.
In Title 21, it says you don't park in front of a fire hydrant when you get your license when you're 16 years old.
Hello, you on the air?
Hi, Julius. Sorry to call you right back, but the chief, I want to ask a question that was alluded to by a caller earlier. Chief, the mayor has done, in my opinion, an awesome job with diversity with respect to race and color. His administration reflects not only balance in terms of race, but also in terms of age. And I'm wondering if you had thought about how to address the culture that has existed in the department before with respect to race. How do you plan to address it, or do you see a need to address it?
Okay, thank you for calling. Let me answer the question. Thank you, Pastor.
What we look to do is just, again, establish accountability, that individuals understand why they came to the police department and what their responsibilities are. And we're just holding everyone accountable, including myself, to our job responsibilities, and we don't do it based on lines of ethnicity.
Okay, go ahead. You on the air?
Yes, I want to congratulate Chief Bobby Cummings. He's a good officer.
Thank you.
But I just want to know if he had any comments on that no confidence vote that he got from the union, and how he plans to get their confidence back if that was truly reported correctly in the newspaper.
All right, thank you.
Again, that's something where I don't take it personal. I look to have a professional relationship with the union, and lines of communications are always open, and we're going to disagree on a lot of issues, maybe. And when we disagree, we'll sit down and we'll talk, and we'll move this department forward.
Go ahead, you on the air.
Good evening, Julius. Good evening, Mayor Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bobby Cummings.
Steve?
I just called to congratulate you. This is Steve Washington.
Hey,
Thanks.
Steve.
Hey, how you doing? And man, you're doing a great job. We're just here to support you, especially with HBCU schools. So we're going to just try to bridge the gap and support you, Bobby, and the mayor and the city to just bridge the gap so we can get more support from HBCU successes. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. And I want to say one thing, like I said again, after reading the Chief's resume and just the fact that he came through the ranks the hard way and had almost every position I'm quite sure he caught hell and back as a young man coming in, and the community, we won't be behind you. We're going to be aside of you, and we're going to walk with you step by step, and we're going to make this thing happen. This is one of the nicest guys, and I mean, and just some of the decisions he made. So I don't know who raised you, but you made a lot of great decisions, and again, I can't see. Mayor, I'm sorry, you made the right decision, and again, the community, we're going to be aside of you. We're going to walk with you when you need our help. And again, and definitely call LAPA and make sure anything you need so the community can know. But again, Mayor, you made a great decision.
Thank you.
Go ahead. You on the air? Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, my name is Brian Patterson. How you doing, Julius?
How you doing?
Okay, good. My question is, and congratulations to the new police chief. I live in the county, but my question is, I'm a mentor. I mentor a lot of kids in the city, and they lack hope. And you guys can do all the great things that police officers do, but if these kids, and I don't know if you can start working with schools, but these kids need a degree of hope, because all you're going to keep doing, Mayor, and all you're going to keep doing, Chief, is putting people in jail. We got to nip these young kids coming up. When we were growing up, Julius, I'm your cousin, Brian Patterson, the aquarium worker. But anyway, when we were growing up, we respected the police. We respected the police. We revered the police. We thought of them as heroes. We respected them in the neighborhood. Today, kids don't have that respect for officers or adults. I don't see these kids having any hope, and I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I know. I feel like all you guys are going to be doing is putting kids in jail as they grow up. Because unless we fix this city problem in these schools, these kids won't have any hope. And you can answer the question. I'm finished with my comment.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Satterfield has a valid point to a degree, but we're not going to just keep putting kids in jail. I totally disagree with him on that one. There's kids that we are going to get through to, because we are going to talk to these kids and work with them and let them know that they are a human being and they are part of our society, and we do care about them. And I can say this to Mr. Satterfield because I used to be one of those kids, and somebody saved me. And that's what our intent is to do. We're going to turn a lot of these kids around, because we're going to sit down and talk with them. We're going to be with them. We're going to have our parks plan, which we've expanded with arts in the park, numerous things. We're going to take these kids to different cities. We are, once we get a hold on more things in this city as far as the violence, we're going to start going into the households, trying to find out what is going on in the households. Is the mother an alcoholic? Is the father on drugs? These are the things that we have to look at and find the foundation. We're never going to social work our way out of this. It's absolutely true. We're not going to arrest our way out of this. It's going to be all the players at the table coming up with solutions. And the solutions are, we are going to have to let these kids know that someone loves them and someone cares about them. If they're not getting it from home, they're going to have to get it from somewhere else. And you know, a lot of people can do a lot of talking, but roll your sleeves up and follow me. I'm in the community quite a bit, and I see this stuff every day. This morning, as I stated, being in Riverside, there is a lot of hopelessness. But when these kids see the mayor walking around with his jacket over his shoulder in Riverside on a Sunday morning, and they come to the car, that's hope right there.
Okay. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, I want to say something to the chief. I'd like to say something to the chief.
Okay, he can hear you.
When are they going to crack down on the people that's driving around every other car, driving with their phones, talking on the phone?
Okay, let him answer the question. Thank you.
We do have a cell phone initiative where we do crack down on those individuals who are on their cell phones while driving, and that's one of those things that new technology, individuals are consistently driving with their cell phones, and we are addressing them. But you know, when police officers aren't around, people are going to do what they choose to, and as we see them, we issue summonses for that.
Okay. All right, go ahead. This is the last call. We got a couple of minutes, and I want the chief and the mayor to close out. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Okay. This question is addressed to the mayor and as well as Chief Cummings. The city of Wilmington is predominantly black. I think we all know that. And the police department, as I know it, unless I'm wrong, is composed more of white police. And my question is, why is there a disparity in terms of black and white police? And what can be done to rectify this problem?
Good question, and we'll let them answer. Thank you so much.
I yield to the chief.
We're making stronger efforts to recruit individuals that represent our city. And again, it's just a matter of hiring individuals and going out and doing strong recruiting to make sure we represent our city, and we're making those efforts. We just hire qualified candidates.
Again, we have 2 minutes. I'm gonna let the mayor say something. I'm gonna let Chief, and then I'll close. Mayor Williams.
Well, Julius, I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to support this chief 150%. I'm not going to be aside him. I'm not going to be behind him. I'm going to be in front of him. Whatever he needs to turn the city around, we're going to be there together to get this done. He has worked with the state, county, and the federal authorities. We have a task force that we put together. I think you're going to see some great things coming out of this police department and this chief. Our motto is we're going to move forward, and everybody that's on the train, stay on the train. And the people that don't want to be on the train, don't want to work to turn the city around, we'll be more than happy to walk them to the door.
Okay. Chief.
I would just like the community to know that we are going to make every effort to improve our city. And we're looking to work with, again, anyone who is willing to do that, go in that direction. I'm always open for dialogue. I'm a people person. I love our city. This is my city. This is where I grew up, and we're going to make a change.
Again, I'm glad Mayor Williams that you brought the chief here to the community so people get a chance to talk to him. Again, I believe you made a great choice. And everything we can do, we will help you.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Julius Cephas. I'm president of Local 1694-1 at the Port of Wilmington, which you're going to be hearing some things coming up later about the port and what's going on. But again, I just like to say good night and support this police chief and the mayor and the city of Wilmington, and we can make things better. Thank you and good night.